Coming up on this edition of ATV News.
No, the mall's still open.
The Cache Valley Mall is still here. We'll tell you how much longer you have for that shopping mall experience. That buzzing noise may be scary to you. Coming up, we'll show you the people who love getting up close and personal with beehives.
It was on the ground. I just thought it was really pretty.
We'll tell you where experts say you can find the best fall colors.
It's been raining on and off for the past 3 days. In weather, I'll tell you if you'll need an umbrella for the homecoming parade.
Last weekend's crazy weather wasn't enough to shut down the USU Fall Stampede. In sports, I'll show you how much fun USU rodeos can be.
All that and more, this is ATV News.
The barn was fully engulfed in flames. One family's barn is a complete loss after a fire Saturday. That fire may have something to do with you losing power this weekend. Welcome to this edition of ATV News. I'm Seda Christensen.
And I'm Morgan Perkins. A 2-alarm fire destroyed in a family's barn in Nibley Saturday night. Firefighters responded to the fire around 8 p.m. It burned the barn and another building. Neighbors say no one was home at the time of the fire.
Everybody's biggest concern was that all of our neighbors were safe and nobody was going to be hurt.
Schoenfeld says firefighters rescued a dog from a neighboring camper. Crews put water on the camper and an RV nearby to protect them. Cache Fire investigators say this weekend's storm brought down power lines, which may have caused the fire. Their investigation is on hold until the homeowners return. Rocky Mountain Power crews responded to the fire along with firefighters. The strong wind Saturday night brought down these power lines close to the fire. Rocky Mountain Power says more than 5,000 people lost power in Cache County.
The storm that brought those power lines down has also been wreaking havoc on Utah State University's homecoming week plans. This is what street painting usually looks like during USU's homecoming week, but this year, this is what the Taggart Student Center bus loop looked like during the time organizers planned to hold the event. They say street painting will be rescheduled for Thursday at 4:30.
Street painting got rained out on Monday, but Powder Puff football kept playing right through that rain.
The USU Herd Committee and Campus Recreation held their annual Powder Puff tournament on Tuesday.
Each team played 3 games in a pool before moving on to the knockout rounds. We'll have more on Powder Puff later.
Honeybees are responsible for pollinating 80% of crops. ATV's Anna Johnson got the buzz from beekeepers about how you can get a hive of your own.
Buzzing around. Pollinating our flowers and vegetables. These bees are hard at work.
There's 50 or 60,000 bees in that hive.
Kirk Johnson is one of the over 100,000 hobby beekeepers in the United States.
Put it in my spit.
He's also my dad.
I really don't need more than one. I get 150 to 200 pounds of honey. At least I have the last 3 or 4 years.
He's had a hive in our front yard for 7 years.
It takes 12 bees to make a teaspoon of honey.
When bees pollinate flowers like these, the color of the pollen determines the color of the honey, giving you variations like this from last fall, last spring, and this fall.
We teach beginning beekeeping clear up through advanced beekeeping.
USU Extension's Thriving Hives program helps beginning beekeepers start their hives. Gunnell says having a beehive can improve your home garden.
My best gardening years were the times that I had bees.
Gunnell says USU Extension's resources make starting a hive simple, and having bees is a rewarding, if expensive, hobby.
Watching them work and come and go, and they're amazing. They're fascinating creatures.
Anna Johnson, ATV News.
Gunnell says honeybees aren't the only bees in Utah. Utah has over 900 unique species of bees that pollinate different plants. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints held its 193rd semi-annual General Conference this weekend, but the church president was not there in person. General Conference started with an empty seat where President Russell M. Nelson was supposed to sit. 2 days after President Nelson turned 99 years old, he took a fall, injuring his back. He had pre-recorded a message for viewers instead of speaking in person.
While I have delivered more than 100 General Conference addresses standing, Today, I thought I would do so sitting.
At the end of his talk, he announced the church would build 20 new temples. That is the second largest number announced at once since President Hinckley announced 30 in the April 1998 General Conference.
This map shows us the whole world of the 20 announced temples. 2 in Peru, 2 in Brazil, temples in Ghana, Nigeria, Angola, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and 1 in Fairbanks, Alaska, more than 300 miles from the existing temple in Anchorage, and others in the Pacific, the U.S., South America, and Asia.
You can now drink the water without boiling it in Trenton. Trenton water failed an E. coli test last week. Officials issued a boil order while they found and addressed the problem.
We did bump up our chlorine, and we had the fire department flush the system. They can't get rid of all of our water. They've got to keep enough to be safe. But they flushed over half of the water in our tanks, 250,000 gallons. They flushed at the end of the line so that more of the higher level of chlorine would move through the system.
Officials say they got water cleared up by the beginning of this week. This is the first positive test since 2016. Lewinsky says they'll be doing extra water testing in the next couple of weeks to make sure their drinking water is safe.
You may have noticed shirts hung up around campus. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and the Clothesline Project is back on display at USU. The shirts hanging on a rope clothesline range in size from children's to adults. Survivors of interpersonal violence wrote and drew messages to the show the realities behind domestic violence statistics. They say 1 in 3 women experience sexual or physical violence and or stalking by an intimate partner. Local resources are listed on the project, posters at each display for those who have experienced abuse or are experiencing abuse. You can see the Clothesline Project display at USU Dining Services through the end of October.
Midterms are less than 2 weeks away. How is your stress level? According to a recent nationwide study, 60% of college students experience acute stress during college and 56% experience chronic stress. On Tuesday, USU's Counseling and Psychological Services held the first session of a 3-part stress and anxiety management workshop. Students learned about different types of stress and their symptoms. Students also learned about skills they can use to help make life more manageable. You can find more information about CAPS on our Facebook page. Joining us here is Zara Nasir with ATV
Basically,
Weather.
Peyton Manning's right hand.
Zara, the weather got me stressed out this week. Is the sun coming back anytime soon?
Sorry for that difficulty, but yes, I will be letting you guys know more about that in the 7-day forecast.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what sun is coming our way and coming up.
Basically, Peyton Manning's right hand man.
We'll show you how Peyton Manning's right-hand man fared against the Aggies in this year's Powder Puff Tournament.
I really like seeing all their beautiful colors.
We'll show you when experts say the leaves will reveal their best colors this fall.
This butterfly is just relaxing there and having fun by the flowers. The current temperature is 60 degrees. Welcome to ATV Weather. I'm Zahra Nasir. We've been having a past few wet days here in northern Utah, but let's take a look at the national radar to see how other states in the country are doing. If you look Right here in the western region of the country, you can see that there is a lot of clear skies, and the same applies for down here in the southern. But right here in the south central, there's a lot of activity going on. There's actually light rainfall. That's what that green color is there. And the same goes up here in the north, right by North Dakota. And actually, that might be some of that rainfall that we've been seeing in the past 3 days. Now, let's look at the national temperature to see what those actually look like. If you take a look right here in the southern part of the nation, you can see that there's a lot of red colors. That just basically means a lot of temperatures. That's in the high 80s and lower 90s. And right here, actually, by South Texas, in the south of Texas, you can see that they're up to 99 degrees. That is hot weather. Now let's take a look at the western part of the nation. You can see that they have a lot of greens and yellows. That basically just means cool and light, slightly warm weather. The same applies to right here by Wisconsin. They have 45 degrees. That is just cool or like colder temperatures. Let's take a look at the state radar and see what's happening closer to home. If you look at the state radar, you can see that there's clear skies all around the board, but let's take a look at the state temperatures to see what that actually looks like for us. If you look right here, you can see that we have a lot of those yellow colors, a lot of those greens. Just the same as what I said, it's just a lot of cool, light, warm temperatures. And right up here by the Summit County, you can see that they're down to 37 degrees, which means they're gonna have a little bit cooler temperatures. Now let's take a look at the 7-day forecast to see what's gonna be happening in the weekend. If you take a look at the 7 forecast, you can see that right here today in Wednesday we've had cloudy weather, but the sun managed to come out later in the day with a high of 61 degrees and a low of 31 degrees. Now if you look from Thursday towards the weekend, you can see that we're gonna have a lot of sun. You might just be putting away those umbrellas unless you need them for some shade, but we're gonna be in the low 70s and the low 40s as well. Now if you take a look at Monday and Tuesday, we're gonna be back to the cloudy weathers, but there's still going to be some sun. So we're going to be in the high 50s and lower 60s. And on Tuesday, we're going to be at a low 41 degrees. That's probably perfect to go outside and look at the fall weathers because fall is beginning. And speaking of fall colors, do you know why leaves turn red, orange, yellow as the fall begins? Well, I asked an expert to find out why the leaves change colors and where you can see the best shades.
Step by step, people are hiking up Logan River Trail to see the colorful fall leaves.
My husband and I are just on a nature walk, enjoying the fall colors.
With so many green leaves still around, you might have to look a bit harder for the colored ones.
I thought I would be seeing a lot more colors than I thought I would. Some of it was hiding.
Leaves appear green before the fall season, but experts say that they already hold the hidden autumn colors.
All this time when there is chlorophyll in the leaves, there is also those different color pigments like carotenoids, which has those yellow color, but then we don't see them because the green is so dominant.
The hidden colors can only appear after the weather cools down in the fall season.
The intensity of sunlight is less, the nights are cooler, and it doesn't make sense for a plant to reproduce so much chlorophyll. And when the chlorophyll is gone, the other color becomes visible.
Some of the leaves here at Dry Canyon have almost reached their peak colors, and hikers say they're loving the change in nature.
I really like hiking in the fall because I love seeing all the beautiful leaves and I like how they all change colors.
Other hikers decided to take some leaves back home with them.
It was on the ground. I just thought it was really pretty since not all the leaves have changed yet, and I just wanted something to take home with me.
Travelers from different states tend to also stop by the hills during their drives to see the fall colors.
We have a lot of visitors who come just to see the leaves and to participate in our other fall events. That's part of the reason why we try to augment our fall season with more activities.
As you find your way during a hike, Julia reminds you to take a minute to admire nature.
It's not just tourists who should be taking advantage of the season. You should be out and about exploring and enjoying the beautiful leaves, the beautiful weather that fall has to offer, so you can fall in love with fall too.
If you would like to see the bright shades this fall, experts predict October 23rd is when the leaves in Cache County will reach their peak colors. And hopefully we have clear skies on that day so we can all go out, hike, and see the colors. And now you're all caught up on weather. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Zara. When was the last time you went to the mall? The Cache Valley Mall owners are selling it, but contrary to what you may have heard, it is still open till at least the end of the year.
People thought the mall was already closed, And so we did see a decrease in people coming in. And so we've had to do some, social media and advertising to get the word out that, the mall's still open.
The 26 businesses will have to find a new home by February. Logan City Economic Development says in the spring of 2024, the new owners will demolish the mall to make room for apartments, a park, and retail.
The Real Housewives of USU are Powder Puff champions after last Tuesday, but they had a special player on their side. Their quarterback is USU senior Peyton Tevens. She helped run the Manning Passing Academy, one of the most prestigious football camps for high school and college football players.
I'm actually named after Peyton Manning, my late uncle. He ran the camp. They're super close, so yeah, it was super fun.
But Tevens doesn't just talk the talk. When her teammates were asked who the best player on the team was,
Peyton's a baller. She's our number 1 QB. She's an athlete, man. She can do anything. Look at her. Look at her.
She's named after Peyton Manning. She's really good.
Tevens helped her team win the championship 8-0.
Joining us now is Ryan Lawrenson with ATV Sports.
Ryan, are we to see anything like those Powder Puff players in sports this week?
Yeah, I mean, the Aggies could probably take some notes and pointers from Peyton Tevens. I'll have more on that coming up.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Second yellow.
In sports, I'll show you how football barely missed going into overtime in their first FBS win this year.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Plus another ejection from the soccer field. I'll show you how the Aggies were able to capitalize on it. And after sports,
it's really neat that it does go as far as it does.
As gold.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here. I've got your back.
when you want to talk, I'm here.
The football team traveled to Yukon last weekend and proved that sports magic isn't just for the spectrum with some late game heroics. Welcome to ATV Sports. I'm Ryan Lawrenson. We'll pick it up in the second quarter where Yukon led Utah State 7-0. Despite the fact that Yukon have found themselves outscored after every second quarter they've played in so far, Huskies quarterback Taquan Roberson made the gutsy call to go for it on 4th and 2 with this pass to tight end Nick Harris, putting Yukon in the lead 14-0. A couple drives later, the Huskies are able to kick up 3 more points on the board with this 36-yard field goal from Yukon kicker Joe McFadden, seemingly about to run away with this game. Finally, the Aggies offense came to life on the last drive before halftime, starting with this 12-yard run from true freshman quarterback McKay Hillstead. Then, with 63 yards to go and 28 seconds left on the clock and counting, Hillstead with an absolute rocket to junior receiver Kobe Bowman, who takes it all the way, and the Aggies are on the board. Let's take one more quick look as Hillstead has all day sitting in the pocket and fires it down the field to wide open Bowman. Is momentum finally swinging into the Aggies' favor? Well, let's find out. Utah State started the second half with the ball. After a few plays, though, disaster struck for the true freshman as he took a hit from both sides at the hands of Yukon defenders Eric Watts and Jackson Mitchell, causing him to leave the game. That hit tacked on an extra 15 yards to the already massive 31-yard reception by junior receiver Jalen Royals. Let's take a quick look at that hit. Absolutely gutted, coming from both sides like that. we really hope for the best for Hillstead moving forward. But have no fear, Aggie fans. Cooper Lega is here. He finished out the drive a few plays later with another Aggie touchdown on this 15-yard pass to Royals. And the Aggies didn't stop there. On Utah State's very next drive, they scored this field goal thanks to junior kicker Elliot Nimrod. And again, on the next Aggie drive with this pass to Royals for his first career multi-touchdown game. Oh yeah, this pass was good for 71 yards. The Huskies had enough of the Aggie scorefest on their next drive, however, finally finding second half pay dirt with this 28-yard pass from Robertson to receiver Jordan Porter. Still not to be outdone though, Lega finds Jalen Royals again on this touchdown pass, good for another 52 yards. A couple of field goals later from each team, and the Aggies are up 34-27. On UConn's final drive of the game, they end up with a touchdown, this time ran in by Victor Rosa, thanks to the handoff from Robertson. Are we headed to overtime? Ike Larson says nope. He splits the offensive line, gets his hand up, and calls game by blocking the point after attempt from McFadden. Here's what Aggie head coach Blake Anderson had to say of the win.
Super proud of the guys, the way they battled to get the win. There's no such thing as an ugly win when you're rebuilding like we are.
UConn and McFadden are definitely going to want that point after attempt back. They fall to the Aggies 34-33. You might remember that we've been keeping tabs on senior wide receiver Terrell Vaughn, who has been on track for a record season. He had no catches this weekend. He currently sits at 38 on the season. Big Blue and the rodeo team turned out the lights this weekend at the USU Fall Stampede. No kidding, the lights actually went out at the arena and put a halt to the rodeo action, but only briefly.
It was pretty scary. I was back with all the horses, and a couple of the horses threw some fits and we almost had some wrecks, but it was all right, and then the lights came back on and we were able to rodeo.
This was unrelated to the power outage that affected much of Logan earlier in the evening. Cowboys and cowgirls from schools in the Rocky Mountain region took to the arena in various events to either ride for a high score or the fastest time. Utah State's Fallon Johnson took first in breakaway roping with a time of 6.8 seconds. Big Blue even got in on the action in the hide racing event, where riders tie hide to their saddle and race their horses from one end of the arena to the other. Their teammate waits at the other end, and as the horse is rounding a barrel, the waiting competitor dives onto the hide and races the other team back down to the start line. The men took 7th out of 8 competing teams, and the women took 2nd out of 5. The rodeo team will finish off their fall season in Price on October 13th and 14th at the USU Eastern Rodeo. After winning against Colorado College on the road last week, the women's soccer team were looking to create a conference play win streak as Colorado State came to town. We'll start it off in the 10th minute, where the Rams had a throw-in that started off promising, but star Aggie keeper De'Ara Walton easily covers up the shot and rolls it out for her teammates to begin the attack. 2 minutes later, Utah State's Kylie Olson sends it all the way in from midfield for another easy keeper catch, this time by Colorado State's Shayna Ross. Moving all the way into the 31st minute, CSU's Liv Stutzman takes a yellow card for this foul on Utah State's Kylie Olson. Hearing a trend with her name, Stutzman's antics don't stop there though, with yet another foul in the 43rd minute, but no card, yet. Not even a minute later, Stutzman commits this foul and gets a very brief talking to. Here's the foul here. A very brief talking to by referee Irina Petronok before being shown her second yellow of the game, good for the automatic red. Colorado State to play with 10 players through the rest of this game. Moving into the second half, a fantastic shot attempt sent by USU's London Miller-Smith, who approaches from just outside the 18-meter box to take the shot collected by Ross, though there was another Aggie in her face ready for a rebound. Finally, in the last minute of play, USU's Summer Diamond sends a corner kick to the far post, and Addie Simmons-Wickers heads the ball, and it looks on target, but CSU keeper Shayna Ross easily blocks it, and the ball gets sent away by the Rams defense. Utah State keeper comes all the way up to center field to play it for Kylie Olson, who moves forward. A little bit of some give and go action from Caitlin Richens, and that was all the Aggies needed because Olson called game, giving the Aggies their first conference win of the season, 0-1 over the Rams. That wasn't the only conference win the Aggies had over the weekend either. Wyoming came to town on Sunday, and the Aggies won again, this time 2-1 off of goals by, you guessed it, Kylie Olson with the opening goal and a penalty kick scored by Kaylee Chambers. Bowden Zarkovich made history this weekend as he became the first Aggie to win the ITA Mountain Regional held in Fort Collins. Zarkovich won his semifinal match because BYU's Jack Barnett was following the school's policy to not play on Sundays, throwing Zarkovich into the finals against Daniel Sancho Arbizu from the University of Denver. Sancho Arbizu beat Utah State's Stin Parda-Cooper in 3 sets. Zarkovich's finals win, 2-1, earned him the America First Credit Union USU Student Athlete of the Week honors. Men's tennis heads to Pocatello this weekend for the Idaho State Invitational starting on Friday. On to women's tennis, plenty of Aggies made their way into finals matches for their doubles draws at the John Messick Invitational in Colorado Springs. But fifth-year players Zeynep Naz-Ozturk and senior Lisa Kung won the final match of their draw 6-2 over South Dakota. In the singles, Kung and Ozturk each lost their finals matchups. Women's tennis have the ITA Regionals coming up in Salt Lake City. Play for that starts on Wednesday, October 18th. The volleyball team made their first conference play road trip of the 2023 season, winning first at New Mexico last Thursday in 4 sets, but losing in 5 sets at Air Force. They play twice at home, first against Nevada tomorrow and then against Fresno State on Saturday, before heading back out on the road for 3 straight conference games starting on Tuesday at Boise State. Hockey dominated first-year program Idaho State last Saturday in their first home game of the season, scoring 3 goals in the first minute and a half. The scoring didn't stop there either, though the rink stopped keeping score after 12 Aggie goals. But the team's social media pages have the scoreline as high as 19-1. Oh yeah, that one Idaho State goal, history made for the freshman program. That was the first ever goal scored in Bengals club hockey history. The Aggies hit the road once again this weekend in Montana, 3 games in 3 days against Montana State, Providence, and Montana. Now you're all caught up on sports. Back to you at the desk, Morgan.
Thanks, Ryan. When was the last time you had a really Gouda piece of cheese you won't believe how much cheese there was at the Cache County Fairgrounds this weekend? Alphorns blew in the 3rd annual Cache County Cheese and Dairy Festival. This weekend, people made fresh butter and ate local cheese while they learned about dairy farmers in northern Utah. Organizers say the event brings together the biggest cheese producers in the state.
If you like cheese, there's about every kind of cheese here that you can imagine.
Bjorkman says if you've had cheese in Utah, it probably came from Cache Valley. The festival also hosted competitions for the best cheesecake and mac and cheese in the valley.
You may remember USU's annual Mid-Autumn Festival from years past. This year, the Asian Student Association changed things up with their first night market-style celebration. People gathered at the TSC patio on Friday night to join in karaoke, crafts, and commerce. The ASU invited multicultural, local businesses and creators to help bridge the gap between USU's campus and the local community.
I'm biased. I'm a crocheter, so I love looking at all the other crochet stuff around here because everything is so fun, so cute, and you know everyone here works so hard to make it.
Student artists and other creators also participated in the market. Moose says she hopes the event helps to see people and be open to the diversity here in Logan.
Sorry for those technical difficulties, but if you vote or have ever filled out an job application and you had to know how to read, one group is working to make sure your children can read, so they're set up for success.
I got black kids.
Community members and leaders met to watch the Right to Read Thursday at the Eccles Conference Center. The director says the documentary covers one of the most important issues of our time.
2/3 of the children in our country are not reading at a proficient level, and that is a 3-alarm fire.
Officials from the Emma Eccles Jones College of Education and Human Services say the documentary will help them better teach students to read.
This film lays out a pathway for us to think about how do we do better with all of our kids.
Boston says policymakers are working to improve literacy rates in Utah. Thanks for watching this edition of ATV News.
You can watch this and other editions on our Facebook page.
We'll leave you with more of a look at the autumn market.
Have a great week, Cache Valley.